Game 2 in week 2 of the NRLW, and it's a must-win occasion for the St George Illawarra Dragons after that first up upset loss at the hands of the Roosters. They need to win this game and upset the Broncos to be a chance of playing in the 2020 Grand Final. Both teams with the revenge on their minds. The Dragons, of course, for last year's NRLW Grand Final, while the Broncos for the Nines earlier this year, where the Dragons took the trophy home.
Yeah, they're certainly really good competitors, both of these teams, but the Dragons are yet to beat the Broncos in this 13-man format. And
Ali Brigginshaw, the Broncos have gone out and named her as the lock in this game, even though she wears the 7, Braithen Astor.
Yeah, a big move from Brisbane to change and move Ali from the number 7 jersey, which she's been so good for a long period of time now, into that lock position. And Taryn Aiken, after 3 try assists and an impressive performance last week against the Warriors, moves into the halves.
Lauren Brown on kickoff duty again. She's got a few tricks in her bag as well. Got the ball back from one of her kickoffs last week. And Elsie Albert puts the Dragons straight on the front foot. The PNG superstar, and the extra effort in the tackle, trying to slow her down, creates a penalty after play 1.
Elsie Albert takes the first carry, and she makes a lot of ground all day. One of my favourites from last week.
Referee in charge, Belinda Sharp, with an early statement. She wants quick play the balls in this one.
Sure does. First tackle of the game and a penalty.
Wait for the top.
Amber Hall, the guilty party, laying all over Elsie.
Wait for the top.
Dragons were not on the good side of the penalty count last week.
A good ball immediately for St George Illawarra.
Great to see Izzy getting in early. I don't think we saw enough of Isabel Kelly last week.
Haley Bent, we saw plenty of her last week, playing on that left edge. Fasavalu for Armasili is the dummy half from the start, and the number 14 jumper. Keely Davis, who wears the 9, slots in at the 5'8" position because Shaq Tungai ruled out with a shoulder injury. Here's Studden, and here is Davis playing in that second receiver, 5'8" role. No way through there, taken down by Aiken. And Kezi Apps, with that leg still heavily strapped, went off with an HIA last week, passed all the protocols, ready to go for game 2. Asavalu for Armasili out of dummy half. We've seen a lot of tries already in NRLW from dummy half. Keeps on trying, but Tamika Upton is there to hold her up with a try saver.
Yeah, great defence here from Tamika Upton. Fasavalu Farmasili going into the starting side from the bench, nearly coming up with a try in the first set of 6 in good field position.
I can see that Keely Davis, she played really well in the number 6 last year, back-to-back wins, so I can see how that is a safe move for them.
Yeah, she was shifted to that position for game 2 last year and took the Dragons into the grand final. Her terrific performances. She thinks she's a better 5'8", but sees her future at hooker, of course. Here's Racine McGregor, left last week on the Medicab in a neck brace, but she was out of that in a hurry and given the all clear to play again this week.
Oh, Brenton, isn't that a relief?
Yeah.
To see her back on the field after being stretchered off. We're all a bit concerned, but better to be safe.
Gould out of dummy half. Aiken leaking up with her left side back rower. That is Talisha Harden from the start this week in the number 15 jumper.
Talisha Harden gets her first start with the Broncos after being player of the club at the Roosters last year.
Here's Bremner in the fullback role, collecting the kick from Brigginshaw. Good even start to this contest.
Yeah, just even though Brigginshaw's moved into that lock position at number 13, she's still maintaining the job of dominant kicker there to start the game.
Yeah, Braithen, she'll be acting as the general from behind. She'll be still organising them around.
Isabel Kelly looking for more early work here. Jamie Chapman, the teenager on the right wing, goes across field, trying to make some things happen early on here. Brigginshaw finishing her off. That's a worry for Jess Surgis, who was all strapped up last week. We saw her having a fitness test about 10 minutes before kickoff here as well. And she looks a little proppy already as the Dragons don't quite find touch. Tamika Upton, it proved a bit of a handful for her, and they pin her in the corner. Brilliant kick.
I don't want to put the knocker on them, but the Dragons are off to a sterling start.
Here's Prasad. Bit of a risk taking Surgis into this game on a proppy leg. Let's hope she can get through things. The number 3, the superstar, the Golden Boot winner from 2019.
It's a knock on.
And the knock-on has been spotted here, so the Dragons' good start continues. Lena Ducey coughs it up.
There's a big battle between Hancock and Lena Ducey. Hancock against her former club.
The decision of knock on.
You got a captain's challenge here. The Broncos. Oh, cut there from Boyle. She's a tough front rower, and already she's received a cut to that eye. Now let's have a look. The call is a knock on, but well, I'm pretty comfortable with that. There was a hand in there from Elsie Albert, but I think it's a loose carry.
Yeah, she didn't have a stripping motion at it, did she? The hand was on there, and then she almost took it off, and Lena Ducey let it go, trying to milk one, maybe.
There, she did. I think this will be play on.
Yeah, just wait for the
Steve Clark likes a second and third look in the bunker.
Yeah, I've noticed, Speedy.
Is there enough in that?
Nah, it's play on. I mean, there was a hand on the ball, but as you
Brisbane
mentioned...
Broncos player loses the ball in the tackle. Challenged by the Broncos is unsuccessful.
knock on.
So you can't trust this front rower either, Tasha.
No, got to be a back for a captain's challenge.
Last week you could trust the front rowers in NRLW as Millie Boyle gets patched up, checks herself up on the big screen after this head clash with Surgis. So isn't Jess Surgis in the wars so far in NRLW season 2020?
She sure is, but it looks like Millie Boyle came off second.
It's been a really good start from the Dragons. Obviously, they've got to win this game. We know that. And there's a bit of desperation, but a lot of energy and enthusiasm to start this game. They've been on top of the Broncos. Great opportunity here in attack.
Pasavalu, Farmer, Silly to Davis. Back on the angle goes Surgis. Good legs tackle from Harden. Aiken slowing things down. Kezi Apps right up the middle. Gould put her body on the line. Amber Hall in company. Elsie Albert off the long run. Lena Ducey trying to hold her up. That's a brilliant one-on-one tackle. First up from Chelsea, Lena Ducey. Elsie Albert takes some stopping now from dummy half. Having another go, and the ball spills out. Tamika Upton there with another try saver, and it'll be a 20-metre restart rather than the Broncos trying to work it off their own line. Just bit off a bit too much there, did the makeshift dummy half.
A little bit of rush of blood there. I'm not sure if that option second time from dummy half was ever going to work.
Yeah, that's 2 runs now and 2 try-saving tackles from Upton, the fullback. She had a great game last week and starts strong again this afternoon.
She certainly is one of the new NRLW superstars, Braith.
Pasavalu Farmer Silly thought she might be able to just flick the hand back over and plant that ball down, but it's so hard to hold onto the ball one-handed in that situation.
Don't start me on a different size football there.
Popped up by Boyle, took a risk. Taryn Aiken there to make it look like a good offload. And the most underrated performer in week 1 was Taryn Aiken. There were 8 try assists in round 1 across the 2 games. She had 3 of them.
In the position of halfback, so I can see why they put her there. I'm just still not sold on it.
Gets it here from Brigginshaw and looks for Tamika Upton, and the forwards were there waiting for her. Steph Hancock and Kezi Apps combined for the tackle. Here's Aiken again, putting a player through a hole again. Talisha Harden with the footwork. Bremner with the try saver, slings it to ground, but there's Aiken with the ball playing ability again. Gets it again, the number 13. Big cutout ball this time for the first-year player, and Lauren Brown is wrapped up on the last, but Aiken featuring heavily already.
Beautiful pass from Aiken in that short side with Harden. She held it up nice and tight. She's soft hands. I can see how she had those 3 try assists last week. It's been a strong start again from her. Just got the ball on a string at the moment.
Great set of 6 here, and you can see this is the break. This is what sets them up. Looking really dangerous.
Bremner summed it up well, didn't she, to stop Talisha Harden in her tracks.
Yep. And now the Dragons are trying to get it out past their 30. They left the ball at the start of the 6 in a difficult position.
Hancock, the markers were out of play there, so there was room for Bremner, and that's an important tackle made by Julia Robinson. Reading the danger signs. Oh, Alberts had a little look up, and here's the Broncos getting good field position on this set.
Yeah, big error there from Albert off a beautiful pass from Hancock, who found Bremner a bit of momentum and just all of a sudden it's been killed. The Broncos on the attack here.
Racine McGregor. Oh, great tackle coming in off the wing. Penatani stopped Frassard in her tracks. Amber Hall.
The wrecking ball, Amber Hall.
Full of offloads last week. That time they wrapped her up sharpish, the two front rowers for the Dragons. Here's Brigginshaw. Aiken again, putting some footwork on this time and wrapped up by Davis.
Hold there, Sam. Hold it.
Upton was sniffing around again. Here's Brigginshaw. Lenarduzzi. Good early contact, but the late offload to Mika Upton, unselfish, and Julia Robinson scores. The Broncos with the first try of the ball game.
Great try by the Broncos. Again, Chelsea Lenarduzzi, who combined so well with Millie Boyle last week. But Chelsea sets the platform for the Broncos. This run up the middle, takes 3 there, offloads it. Tamika, unselfish. Correct option and over for a try.
Yeah, Lenarduzzi, great work here to just hit the defensive line and then throw the offload out the back. And Upton, who's been in fine form, arguably the best in the competition, supporting her big front rower. And then throwing a beautiful pass there to Robinson, who had some footwork, some fancy footwork there to beat Bremner and come up with her second try of the season and the Brisbane Broncos' first try of the afternoon. It was errors, a couple of errors from the Dragons that have proved costly.
And it's no surprise you'll see here that when Tamika actually gets this ball, that 3 players are crowding in on her. I mean, no surprise there. She went over for 3 tries last week. But fabulous work by the Broncos.
What a finisher Robinson is. She is now the record try scorer in NRLW history. She's the first to 5. And she caught that pass and put a step on in the same move. How hard is that?
Incredible little athlete, and congratulations, deserves that record. Let's see if Meg can add the 2 points for the Broncos.
And Upton and Surgis just one behind now. Started today with 4 tries, and look at that for a perfect conversion. It's been a goal-kicking exhibition today in NRLW, and it's 6-0, Brisbane on top.
I think I just heard the ghost of Frank Hyde calling straight over the Blake dot.
Yeah, the change already from Brigginshaw and Aiken is proving to be a successful one. It's only early on in the game, but Brigginshaw just throwing early passes here. She knows where she's got to get it to Lenarduzzi. And then 3 or 4 defenders there. If you can find an offload, there's got to be space, and there was. And the Broncos continue in fine form. The Dragons have got to maintain possession. Too many errors early.
And Kelvin Wright made the point about falling behind last week to the Warriors 8-0 early on. They had a shocking day on the travel front. They've got a fly-in, fly-out for all of these games. Went to Canberra, only got to the stadium about half an hour before kickoff. They've made a much sharper start here.
They have. They looked a bit rattled at the start, and understandably, they had a very quick warm-up, but it showed, Speedy, that when they were down by 2 tries, they still had a game plan. Okay, if we're down, this is what we do. We go for the short kick, successful, and get the ball back.
Brassard finished off centre field. Harden hunting wide again, takes 3 to stop her. Such an experienced player in that Broncos pack that they picked up. Talisha Harden, now Brigginshaw showing it. Lenarduzzi, there's players over on that right-hand side. She took the line on. Try scorer last week, Lenarduzzi. Now they go right. McGregor to Frassard, keeps it alive, went forward though and picked off by the touch judge in close proximity.
Bit of a let-off there for the Dragons.
Brigginshaw and Lenarduzzi combining very dangerously early on, and they're giving some time and space to their outside backs and halves. That was almost deliberate. Could have easily been penalised there.
Meg Ward actually tried to stay behind it. The pass still went forward, and Parramatta will be in action here a little later on against South Sydney in the NRL final, of course. Cutthroat occasion, that one.
It's not a good sign. Racine McGregor, who's been a stalwart with the Broncos the last couple of years, decidedly limping there.
Scored a try in last year's grand final against today's opposition. And she was a Dragon back in season 1. Racine McGregor. Again, they go right for Davis and Apps. Completion rate poor so far from both teams.
Apps has got that balance where she hits the defence and spins.
Oh, Jamie Chapman, brilliant ball handling. Links with Surges. They know they have to be expansive today. Test the Broncos' defence.
Sure do.
Jamie Chapman's looking likely.
It's just on the second tackle, and they managed to get it out wide. They've got to do that fast if they're going to beat the Broncos.
Now Studden. Crossfield she goes, and Albert left it behind. Did it go backwards off Albert and then forwards off Prasad? Looks like it's a double knock on, and that's the right call.
It's a knock on from Albert. Sorry, Tash. It's just the errors again. I think they're a little bit too excited, and they're trying to score points off every play. They've got to build pressure, and it's up to their halves, Studden, just to get in control and just chip away at the opposition. There's still plenty of time. Obviously, they're only 6 points behind, but trying to make every play a winner.
I think you're right, Braith. They've got to find that balance. If you look at the stats, the Dragons had the highest completion set rate last week, but they're throwing it too willy-nilly this time. It's a balance.
Straight off the scrum, the Broncos surge forward through the try scorer Robinson. Millie Boyle with her head strapped after the early head clash. No HIA required for either player involved in that head clash. Just the patch up of the wound as Lenarduzzi is denied an offload. Clever work by Bent coming in to get her hands on the footy. Almost through. Great tackle from Ellie Johnston. All over the top of Amber Hall and lingered a little too long.
That's a pity. She was trying to make her way to her feet there, but just a little bit slow in getting up.
Upton takes the tap. The Dragons weren't ready, and she steals about 5 bonus metres there. 15 metres all told. And the Broncos knocking on the door of more points here. McGregor through the big dummy. Studden didn't buy it.
Shaylee Bent's been doing some work in the tackling. That's a third in a row.
Now Brigginshaw. Millie Boyle. And there's an overlap being created on that left-hand side. The Dragons' defence scrambling. Gould goes that way. Tamika Upton ran behind a teammate. Looked like an obvious penalty there. The Dragons asked for it. And maybe they'll use the bunker to give that penalty.
We've got tackle 4. We've got no try. Confirming obstruction, please.
Clever use of the bunker by the referee.
And Belinda's all over it.
Yeah.
She's very good. Good to have a female out there in control in the middle, especially with some experience like Belinda Snell has.
Belinda Sharp. Yeah,
Belinda
you saw the
Sharp, sorry.
Dragons immediately appeal for that lead runner getting in the road of Bremner. Is that a penalty, Braith?
Well, she needs to go through. Lenarduzzi, I think it is, needs to go through the defensive line. Although I think
Ball was
Bremner
caught on the inside of the lead
inside.
runner by the Broncos, disadvantaging the St George defence. We have a decision.
Yeah, Chelsea did not keep running through there, like you were saying, Braith.
And also, I didn't see it at first sight there, but caught the ball on the inside shoulder. You got to catch it on the outside shoulder of the lead runner, which straight away gets pulled up by the referee.
Steph Hancock it was with the immediate appeal, holding the hand up, saying, referee, did you see that?
She went a bit early. I'd play the whistle a little bit more next time. Upton, what about Upton? But she kind of makes her presence felt, right? Gould jumped down the short side and hit Upton and nearly created something out of nothing. She's a special player.
She attracted, like, what, 3-4 defenders to hold her up?
Can they get Surges going? Good strong run from the Dalian medalist of 2019.
That's the key. Try and get Surges into some open space along with Isabel Kelly. They just can't seem to get them quality ball.
And this youngster as well, if Jamie Chapman can stride out. Just 18 years of age. They shift it left again. Isabel Kelly waits for the work of Bent. Getting rid of would-be tacklers, Shaylee Bent. Prasad crashed in with Brigginshaw. Now it's Isabel Kelly's turn. Boyle called out of it. Elsie Albert focused on holding onto the footy that time after a couple of handling errors so far. It is the last for Studden. Little chip and chase style into no man's land, and that is brilliant stuff by the winger.
Meg Ward, well taken.
Yeah, took it out of the fullback's hand. Upton was coming the other way, kept their eyes on the footy throughout, and Lauren Brown, a first-year NRLW player, outstanding. And his Ward off the back of it. Mistake So here is the chance for the Dragons to hit back.
Okay, now let's not celebrate too early, Dragons. You've got a fair bit of work to do from here.
This is a great opportunity for them. I mean, they've kind of butchered their first couple of opportunities that they've had down this end of the field, and 6 points behind. They haven't quite been in the match the last 10 minutes, so it is a great opportunity, good field position to storm back into this contest. They really need to take their chances if they are to be any chance of beating the Broncos this afternoon. Big set of 6 ahead.
Setting up with an extra number on this right-hand side. Can the Broncos adjust defensively to contain Surgis? They can.
Jess has to come onto that ball a bit deeper.
His Apps off the back of it. That's right, and the ball comes out. There were 2 in the tackle there, so if Apps has lost it, it's a penalty against Boyle, so she let it go wisely. Happy to give up play 2. And Ellie Johnston, who scored a try last week. The referee didn't give it to her, though, and that was a sliding doors moment for St George Illawarra. Now Albert puts a bit of footwork on. Now you feel like they need a strike play. Where's it come from? Pasavalu for Armasili to Studden. And back on the angle. Fresh legs in the form of Christine Pauly. Now Studden, often kicking, drops it in behind. It's getting away from Upton, and they'll get a repeat set out of it.
Christine Pauly on the field. She had a great debut last week. Like to see Ellie Johnson offloading. I've watched her play in the Rabbitohs, and she's got a great offload.
A really good kick here from Studden and building pressure on the opposition, which is what I spoke about earlier. So it's good patience and good work from the half. They need more in attack. It was quite a pedestrian set there in attack. I think they've got to try and find, like you said, a few passes and a bit more variety on the edges.
Had to move out of home due to the biosecurity reasons. Maddie Studden living alone rather than with her parents and grandfather, as it normally would be. So a lot of sacrifices being made by players from all of these teams. And here's Isabel Kelly taking on Brigginshaw down the short side. Penatani, who scored the Dragons try last week, hasn't had much of a look at it on that left wing. Here is Ellie Johnston, and there was no offload available there as Amber Hall swung the arm in over the top to prevent any offload. Albert, short ball, and no way through. She took 3 or 4 defenders out of the equation for their try last week.
Still going.
Back to Studden. No runs last week from the number 7. Keely Davis floats it out to Jamie Chapman. And Surgis knocked it on that time. Broncos have it back.
Yeah, and again, as I mentioned earlier, the mistakes are just killing the Dragons, and they just seem to be going one out. That long pass there was really, it wasn't on. They had the Brisbane Broncos had it covered, and just got to build pressure. Try and get one-on-ones, quick play the balls, and play off the back of that in numbers.
Well, they had the repeat set there, Braith. They had them. And opportunity keeps knocking for the Dragons. I wish they'd open up that door.
Yeah.
Listening to the insights of rugby league legend Tasha Gale alongside Braith and Astor. And Braith, a big night coming up in the NRL competition as well. Who have we got? Parramatta face an uphill task, it seems, against the South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Definitely, with the 2 wingers out, Ferguson, Sevo and Jennings ruled out today. I had South winning already, but probably even a bit more convincing than what they were going to.
Frassard collared on halfway. The cover defence of Isabel Kelly. Back on the angle goes Annette Brander, just on for the Broncos. 20 minutes into the ball game.
Go 10, Alia.
Brigginshaw starting to take over is Ali, but Elsie Albert just plucks it one hand and said, I'm having that footy. And keeps it alive as well. Some second phase stuff off the back of the turnover created by the PNG jukebox.
And was she cheeky enough to call for that from Ali?
Thought she was going to score a try for the Broncos then for a while.
Oh, Penatani. Oh, that was uncomfortable the way she was put up in the air, and Brigginshaw thought she might have created an error. Clever run with the markers out of the equation from Isabel Kelly.
Here comes Izzy Kelly. That's what I like to see. I know they're wrapping her up now, but she keeps on getting that ball, and early. It could be 4 points for the Dragons.
There is Christine Pauly, her brother Pauly through to the Challenge Cup final with Salford after a dramatic win last week. Can Christine Pauly get into the showpiece game? Dragons need to win back-to-back games as Upton brings it back and met by Kezzy Apps.
I think that's where they're missing Tungai with their fifth tackle options. The Dragons, a couple of chip kicks, so they got to either put it high or low, one or the other. Those chips to Upton, that's not going to get the job done.
And Tungai ruled out with a shoulder injury sustained in the round 1 loss against the Roosters.
I think I see Lavina Gould in a bit of pain there. See that throw from dummy half there, and she stops.
Yep, wearing the headgear in some discomfort here, so Racine McGregor accepts the cue as Gould stretches it out in back play. Brigginshaw straight through. Boyle in support. The front rower in support goes over untouched, if you don't mind. And Ali Brigginshaw laying on tries again in the NRLW. She is a superstar.
She reads the game very, very well. She looks at the cues. She looks at, okay, where are they looking? Are they looking at the play the ball, not at the player in front of them that they should be defending, and she exploits it every time.
Yeah, she's the maestro, the experienced Brigginshaw, just dummy and go. She's been passing all afternoon. She sees the defensive line slide off and she takes them on straight through the middle, and Boyle, after getting a head cut earlier, comes up with, it's her second try of the season for Boyle, the front rower, coming up with one in the first week and now another in the second week. Great support off the back of her captain, the inspirational captain, Ali Brigginshaw, who comes up with a huge play.
Here she goes, Brigginshaw, the show and go, and the brilliant pass off there to Millie, and the acceleration from your prop forward.
Yeah, Ali's been passing for the majority of the match, and she's through some beautiful passes, and I could see the defence of the Dragons sliding off her, and I was thinking she should run. She should run sooner rather than later. She's that experienced and that good at what she does, is that she could see what we could see, and she took the opportunity and comes up with a try for Boyle.
And the extras added again. Millie Boyle will be happy with your work, Braith, giving her a bonus try there. That's actually her first try in the NRLW in her 6th game. Hard to believe an athletic front rower like this hasn't been on the end of things before, but she didn't waste this opportunity off Brigginshaw.
No, she didn't. She had a try assist
set up
week, so that's where I got it wrong. She had a try assist last week for a front rower and a try in a second game, so still an enormous effort from the front rower, who I've got so much respect for. She's a classy player.
She is, and she combines well with Chelsea Lenarduzzi. The two of them, they set up and offload. I think that's one of Tamika Upton's tries last week.
Had 127 metres run in the grand final last week. Zach Lomax again in the stands, cheering on Jess Surgis and company with the Dragons. And wasn't it emotional seeing the way Zach Lomax responded to the call from the New South Wales coach, Brad Fittler, this week?
That was awesome, Speedy. I love that.
And then relaying the message to his parents, and that's when he really broke down. Zach Lomax, it's fantastic to see what it means to these young emerging Blues.
I think he's found his position now. He was shuffled along early in his career, but he stayed set in that position. It's certainly helped him out.
Gould seems to have recovered. A few push-ups in back play. Dragons thought there was a little knock-on in there, but not spotted by any of the officials if there was one.
So did Tasha.
Brigginshaw really running the show. And McGregor, if she released there, that might have been a big show on the right-hand side.
They had numbers out wide, but Maddie Stutton wrapped up ball and all there.
Brigginshaw kept on going to that right-hand side for Meg Ward to kick back infield. Who wants it? Bouncing ball. And tracked down in the end by the Dragons. Could have gone anywhere. And that's the debutante on for the Dragons. Georgia Page making her NRLW debut. And they're under immense pressure here, heading towards that touchline. The Broncos' defence has been enormous.
Dragons just need the work of Georgia Page.
Went backwards, fortunately, but they're a little out of sync here, and this pressure defensively is starting to reap rewards here. Kezzy Apps tries to give the Dragons some go forward and does so.
That contact and spin we talked about.
Lavinia Gould in the wars again. Headgear off in a hurry. And in distress, the veteran number 9.
Just while we talk about Georgia Page, could be just what the Dragons need. She got the nickname the Rugby War Goddess because she played on with considerable amount of blood on her face and a broken nose over in the States, playing in the Rugby Sevens. But she's been back playing with the Cronulla Sharks this year in the Harvey Norman competition alongside Maddie Studden.
Lavinia Gould falling onto the leg here of Kezzy Apps. Copped a couple of whacks for her troubles.
Hope she's okay, Gould. Maybe caught one in the ribs there. I've got to say, Kezzy Apps a little bit unlucky. I don't think that tackle was complete. I know there's an injury, but it could have easily been play on. The referee stopped it. And needed some momentum there, the Dragons. I do hope that Gould is okay and health and well-being is paramount. But I still think the Dragons are a little bit unlucky there. I wouldn't have been too happy with the stoppage of play in that particular scenario.
And there is a 20-50 rule here. We're late in the count. Do you try and get your kicker in position to try and execute a 20-50 here?
Yeah, for sure.
They've got the chance, don't they, to draw up a play here.
Maddie Studden, just the one to do that. Let's hope that they've got that in her repertoire and at front of mind at the moment.
Eels fans making their way into Bankwest Stadium for Parramatta's NRL final against the Rabbitohs a little later on. Lavinia Gould will make way. HIA maybe, or just a regular interchange. As on comes another debutant, Shanae Zizolka, with a Rugby Sevens background. Well, Steph Hancock's not thinking 20-50. She dropped it into no man's land, but Tamika Upton reacted in time. And a good starting position here for the Broncos. Prasad. Crossfield she goes. Already a 12-0 advantage for the Broncos, and they're hunting more points here. Brander sets them up. Brown into dummy half. Millie Boyle winding up again. No one there for the offload. And look how eager Aiken is to get her hands on the ball, but they go the other way. Riggenshaw demanded it. And Brander has another go.
Tamika Upton looming. This is where she's dangerous, but they've gone the other way.
Riggenshaw. Aiken left it behind, went backwards, said the referee. So Robinson on kicking duty. Not a bad effort either. Sits up kindly for Penatani, who has nowhere to go.
Yeah, they had to be offside. The chase there from Brisbane. I think it was Harden. She was on the left-hand side. She's moved over to the right, but they had to be in front of the kicker, which they were. And with 4 minutes to go here, this needs to be a big kick from Studden, and they just need to try and threaten the defence here of the Broncos and somehow come up with points heading into the break.
Kezzy needs to get back up and out there.
Yeah, they need her, don't they, Taff?
They do.
It's a rematch of last year's grand final. Still a chance it could be this year's grand final, but the Dragons must win this game. Otherwise, it's the Broncos against the Roosters in a fortnight's time in the big one.
Shaylee Bent doing a lot of work out there in attack and defence.
Left for Keely Davis to move it on to Sturgis. Great contact from Sizolka with her first tackle in the big time.
They've defended on Sturgis really well this afternoon.
It's good to see Jess running with that intensity.
Pain on the face of Kezzy Apps in the wars last week, eventually forced off with 10 minutes to go, and she felt the pain here.
Here we go, this big run from Jess Sturgis. Don't tell me Sizolka doesn't feel this. Oof.
Stood her ground well, the 23-year-old from Toowoomba, another graduate of Rugby Sevens to move into the NRLW this season.
She actually, throughout school, played a lot of rep touch footy for Queensland and Australia, alongside, guess who? Tamika Upton.
Just wincing is in pain as Kezzy Apps went down here. The pride of Bega, not quite at 100% physically for this series, as that leg strapping has shown you. And maybe another aggravation to the other side. That's a worry. The dreaded ACL test that makes me wince. I don't know about you guys.
Back in the day, guys, I was playing, my knee used to go out more than I did.
Is that right?
You put it back in yourself? Or?
Yeah, I taught the trainer how to do it.
She's in some pain. She's very tough, Kezi, so it's not looking good for her this afternoon. She's trying to play on. She didn't look good about 5 or 10 minutes ago, so.
New South Wales captain last year, of course, hoping to be part of that Origin series, but unfortunately, she is done. Let's hope it's not the dreaded ACL and some other injury in the knee region, but such a shame to see her limp off for the second week in a row.
It is. It's not Kezi Apps's tournament this year, but you saw the great sportsmanship. Millie Boyle come straight up, who was involved in that tackle, and just, you know, letting Kezi know, sorry about that, mate.
We just saw the line breaks there too. Brisbane 4 line breaks, Dragons 0. So they just haven't been able to dissect the Broncos at all. They haven't broken the line. And they've got enough firepower to do so. So they've got to be more creative. And they've had ample opportunity. Here's another one.
A new role for Pasavalu for Armasili, replacing Kezi Apps. We've already got Tale Holmes out there to be the dummy half. She'll actually go to the edge back row now. Bremner, quiet in attack so far. Links with Paulie. Hancock onto Tale Holmes, who's got plenty of ability in attack. Reefed out one-on-one for the turnover. What brilliant defensive work from Annette Brander. Holmes was weaving her way through nicely until Brander came along. 2 in the tackle here when the strip occurs.
2 in the tackle. Where's the captain's challenge?
Well, you can't challenge that
Good
in
point.
that situation
Yes.
as the game continued.
Good point.
Tale Holmes, I think, was screaming challenge. You can see on that replay. May have required a second look to see whether the other teammate had dropped off the tackle, but doesn't matter anymore as it bounces the Broncos' way for Sissolka. Gets rid of a tackler, steps around another, and then knocked on, unfortunately, by Elliston. Otherwise, the Broncos were away. Plenty of numbers there after Sissolka's work.
Looked like Ellison was playing basketball. Bounce it back to herself. Made it fell, and off she goes.
Yeah, she looks like she's quite talented, Chazolka, with her footwork and great speed. The left foot step back on the inside. Now have a look at the number of jerseys here from Brisbane in frame compared to the Dragons. Now that's a concern in itself. What a footwork. Left foot step, finds the pass back on the inside. And Elliston
holds on to the Dragons.
For the Dragons then. Lucky.
Here's their last attacking set before half-time. Would love to impact that scoreboard before the break. Hancock slowed down by Boyle. Steph Hancock facing the Broncos for the first time after 8 previous games and 2 grand final wins in Brisbane colours. Here's Bremner. They like it in her hands. Sammy Bremner held up by Aiken, and the support came from Brown just in time, but she's still going, the co-captain. And on the last, Pasavalu for Armasili will go left for Hancock. Trying to spin her way through and keep it alive. Knocked back her way by Aiken. And it should be a restart of the tackle count. That's why the referee just tipped up by the touchy to go upstairs.
upstairs.
Or is she just going to say scrum feed to the Dragons here?
I don't think you can go upstairs to have a look at that. I do think it was knocked down, and it should be 6 again.
Well, that's certainly what Steph Hancock was screaming for. 6 again, ref.
Have we seen a ruling yet, or is she buying time to come back and say play on a fresh set?
I do feel like that could be the case, Speed.
Racine McGregor has had a tough time with her body, a la Kezi Apps so far in the opening couple of weeks. Now here we go. Hancock drops it out the back. Aiken prevents that, knocks it back into the chest and breadbasket of Hancock, and I think the referee's still weighing it all up at the moment.
It should be play on, although it did touch the leg there. After she...
You'd believe a front row, a prop, wouldn't you, Brace? When they scream 6 again?
You think there could be a little knock-on afterwards from
Hancock?
Hancock?
And then it goes off Hancock. Oh, I don't know. It's very close.
Here we go. The Harvey Norman's captain's challenge about a minute and a half later, says Ali Brigginshaw, but they said they tried to challenge immediately. So Steve Clark will have the final say here. Aiken drags it
Ball
back.
was lost by Steph Hancock in the tackle. Challenge by the Dragons is unsuccessful.
He didn't muck around there, Steve Clark.
And he's right, unfortunately, for the Dragons.
Another front rower that's been banned from any further captain's challenges.
Here we go, Steph.
How do the Broncos play out these final 2 or 3 plays before the break?
So they're just going to go one out and up.
Pretty happy with the scoreline. 30 minutes away from booking a spot in a 3rd straight grand final are the Brisbane Broncos. Here's Upton trying to slice them. Siren about to sound. Is there time for one more play? That'll do us. Brisbane Broncos in a dominant position again. The Dragons have it all to do in the second half. It's 12-0 at the break.
The back-to-back premier sending a strong message to the Dragons, running in 2 unanswered tries as the Red Beast season goes on the line. It's 12-0 at the break, and Cooper Cronk has his first half analysis up next here on Fox League.
Welcome back to Bankwest Stadium. About to get underway in the second half between the Dragons and the Broncos. Tasha Gale, if you were the coach of St George Illawarra, you'd have this lady playing a different role.
I'd have her at 5'8". You've got to move the magnets around. You've got nothing to lose. Sammy Bremner's got some awesome skills. She's captained the 5'8" premiership winning team in Helensburgh. I'd put Izzy Kelly at fullback, where she's played all year and captain as well. Throw caution to the wind, and those 2 players let Izzy get more involved. But unfortunately, Brenton, we've got some bad news on the Kezi Apps front. Word is that she's done a medial, and that's sad news for the Dragons, but really sad news for the New South Wales State of Origin team. The incumbent captain looks like being ruled out.
That's a shame for Kezi, such a popular figure in rugby league. Let's hope she can overcome that serious injury in record time. Out of dummy half with that new role for her goes Lauren Brown. Lavinia Gould in the wars in that first half, so Brown operating in the middle right now in the number 2 jumper. Finds Brigginshaw here forward past the Racine McGregor, and it's been called a rare error from Brigginshaw.
Yeah, very rare. Uncharacteristic pass from the captain, and there is Kezi Apps. Not a good sight for Dragons fans, and also she's not too happy about it.
And Holly Wheeler beside her knows just how she's feeling, because Holly Wheeler is also out with a knee injury.
But a great opportunity here for the Dragons. It's exactly what they wanted early, was some ball in good field position after an error from the Broncos. They've got to be a lot better in attack this half if there any chance.
Did I just see that Elsie Albert hasn't come back out in the run-on team?
Yeah. Having a rest, the starting lock. Here's Tale Holmes, who's fleet of foot. Looked dangerous late in that first half. Paulie setting things up here. They've had the go forward. Now can they find the strike? Can Bremner get her hands on it in a dangerous situation? Here's the debutante, Georgia Page. And here comes Bremner. Back on the angle goes Izzy Kelly. Can she keep it alive here after busting tackle? She can. How does Paulie go? Doesn't force the pass. Taken down by Brigginshaw and Aiken, who slow things down. And on the last, they keep going right. Keely Davis, there's a big hole there for Surgis. And the Dragons are back in the ball game through the reigning Dally M medalist, Jess Surgis.
Time to get excited again. The Dragons have finally crossed that line after, starting off the first half so well, but not quite getting there. We see here, smart move by Christine Pawley to take that in before the quick play the ball, tip out for a try over there.
Yeah, good work from Davis, just going into the defensive line. Beautiful pass to Surges, who always runs that great outside in line. She was too big and strong to be stopped that close to the try line. And as I mentioned, to start this second half, they needed to be first team to score. And I think with their first line break of the match, they come up with a 4-pointer that brings them well and truly back into this contest. Here come the Dragons.
As I was saying, Christine Pawley, she had the ball there. Speedy, you commented, she doesn't go to pass. No rush of blood. Quick play the ball. Allows for this great pass from Keely Davies, and over is Jess Surges, and we know she loves to score.
Aren't they great role models as well? The reigning Dahlia medalist, the reigning Golden Boot winner, and her little fan in the stands with that banner cheering on Jess Surges to the joint try-scoring record in NRLW with the same hairdo as well. Copying the role models. And here's Maddie Studd, and goal kicking could be important, of course. The Broncos converted both of their tries and brought it back to about 16 metres out. The angle is tight and couldn't steer it home. Maddie Studd, and that hurts her overall stats that have been pretty good. 73% with the boot before that in this competition. So an 8-point margin here. Dragons playing catch-up in this second half. Otherwise, it'll be a Broncos-Roosters grand final, just as it was in 2018.
Dragons aren't done yet, Speedy. And you saw Chapo, for such a young player out there on the wing, she kept her wing. That allowed, doubt in the defence, allowed that little bit of room for Surges to go over.
It's a warm afternoon in Sydney. The lights will take over a little later on as Parramatta take on the Rabbitohs in an NRL cutthroat final to try and stay alive in this year's race for the premiership. Hawley working hard. Fasavalu for Armasili now. Up to the 40-metre line already after 2 plays. So all the momentum with the Dragons right now as Studden steps into dummy half, and here comes Hancock. Has all that intel on how the Broncos play. And the coach, Daniel Lacey, would have been picking the brain of Steph Hancock this week. And Page has done some nice things already. 25 years of age. Davis. Oh, the gap was there for Surges, who had Chapman unmarked outside her, and may have panicked a little bit.
Looked like the great combination again between Davis and Surges. Oh no, this is not what we need. Just after we've been giving her a rap about the great service. Looks like a knee.
Or maybe a corky. Is it above the knee? There was solid contact after she got the pass away to Surges. Knee on knee, knee above the knee maybe.
It was. Looks like it's a cork, which, unless it's a really bad cork, she could continue to play on. You just see here the contact. That, oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, that's not a good one. That's not a good one. Surges had an opportunity to catch that. It was a bit of a tough pass, but
the colour of that leg will be changing colour tomorrow.
Yeah, she'll feel it tomorrow.
She's just got to get the blood down to it, keep the leg moving now.
Okay, get ready to go.
Don't forget finals footy with Matty Johns coming up right after full time in this game. 5:30 p.m, the scheduled start in that one. Sean Johnson, the special guest. Looking forward to that. Bridging the time before the NRL final between Parramatta and the Rabbitohs at this same venue, of course.
Speedy, you mentioned, you asked Braith earlier. Braith said the Bunnies. Where are you looking at?
Well, I'd be tipping up South Sydney to win Parramatta's season as well, with all the way the back line that Parramatta are going to put out. It's hard to see them being able to contain the Rabbitohs, who've been pouring on the points at times in recent weeks.
And there's that camaraderie we were speaking about before with Millie Boyle and Kezzy Apps. She's gone over there to give her a bit of a hug.
Thanks for asking my expert opinion as well. Tough go. I'm sure everyone was
yeah, I just wrote down
waiting on the edge of their seats.
Speedy, Parramatta to lose. Okay.
She asked me, Braith. Sorry.
I'll save it for later on when I call the game, Speedy.
Here's Lenadusi. Rotation in the middle forwards for the Broncos. Millie Boyle off. Brown doing a nice job as acting dummy half. Alicia Harden, who was a starter today, Roosters Player of the Year last season. Speech therapist by trade, able to do that in lockdown in Brisbane, if you like, with these quarantine measures for these Brisbane Broncos.
Just speaking of those conditions, Speedy, you've got Tamika Upton living with Millie Boyle during this this competition. She's trying to put some more muscle on Tamika Upton, and I believe she's cooking a Jamie Oliver style scone.
Sounds great.
Tuna casserole, right?
They're winning the field position battle in their second half convincingly. Studden takes them into Broncos territory here. That's her first run of the entire campaign so far for the number 7. And now they shift it. Helped on by Davis on one leg right now after that severe corky. And Tale Holmes is finished off. 3 in the tackle. Trying to earn her team a penalty there. Not given. And Surgis with Chapman on that right-hand side again. Heading towards that touchline. Brilliant tackle from Julia Robinson. Does she ever put a foot wrong?
She's pretty solid, isn't she? She's fast, she's quick, she's agile in attack, and pretty awesome in defence. Look at that. And that's hard to do on Jess Surgis.
Those two ladies now the joint top try scorers in NRLW history, and Robinson in company with Szolka said, you're not scoring this time, you're not even breaking the line.
Yeah, apart from that one try that Surgis has scored, off that beautiful pass from Davis, they've contained her really well, that left-hand edge defence of the Broncos. Well, that's not a good pass, but a great take.
AC McGregor unfazed. McGregor again. Had to go through the quarantine period when arriving in Brisbane. A couple of weeks in the hotel before coming out and joining training 4 days before the season opener. They drive Lenadusi back here. Really good signs for the Dragons as Brigginshaw has a go from inside the 40. It was angled nicely to find touch inside the 30. Then it took a Dragons bounce and Bremner had to work hard to stay in the field of play.
Again, Braith, I think you cannot give Ali Brigginshaw time to set her kicks. She can't be allowed to play in a dinner suit. You've got to get right up in her face. Oh, not good, Sammy Bremner.
Yeah, she was twisted in that tackle. There were 4 in the tackle, and she's trying to play through the pain barrier now. Said to the trainer, I don't need you, but she's on one leg at the moment. Surgis comes looking for work. Out of dummy half she goes. Now Paulie. What kind of kick can they get away here? 30 metres out, Studden. Gives it some elevation. How's the chase? Snuffed out comfortably by Ward, who ducks under a tackle. Upton. Great run. That touch footy background. Scored that hat-trick. One of just 3 in NRLW history. In the first half last week, Tamika Upton. It's a relatively quiet so far, but her time may yet come in the final 20.
Yeah, Tamika Upton joins Kimura Natai and Talena Simon.
Simon yet to be used by the Roosters. It shows their depth. On the comeback from childbirth last year, Talena Simon may yet be used in the next couple of weeks for the Roosters. Kick from Brigginshaw, found Penatani on the chest, but so physical, aren't they, dealing with the outside backs of the Dragons?
A great tackle there from Hall on Penatani. She grabs her hair.
That's a penalty, surely.
Has
Look at
to
the
be.
Scream of pain. And let's hope no damage done here. Might be on report, is she?
She could find herself in trouble here, Amber Hall. Don't know if it's the pull of the hair or she's hurt her knee on the way down. This could be really bad.
It's another superstar as well, Isabel Kelly.
It gets buckled there and she just jams. Oh no. Full body weight there of Amber Hall on the ankle of Isabel Kelly, and she's in a world of pain.
She's done.
She's gone.
Kezzy App's gone. Isabel Kelly gone. Superstars. Sammy Bremner on one leg. And what's the talk amongst players when that kind of action happens with the hair pull, first of all?
Look, it's never really a deliberate hair pull. It's just not in our game. But you saw Izzy screaming there, and it wasn't about the hair pull, as we can see. It's about that enormous pain brought on by the full weight here at an awkward angle.
That's a broken ankle right there. And to be fair, if Amber Hall doesn't pull her hair, I think Isabel Kelly gets away from her. So, you know, it was a pretty poor play there from Hall, and Kelly's paid the price.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Izzy was hitting a strap. So I think, you know, if the hair wasn't grabbed, she was away. And now she's been taken away.
Voted the world's best player in 2018. She racked up the stats last week in a losing side, and unfortunately, her year might be over as well. Just heartbreaking what we're seeing for these superstar Dragons in this game.
Another Blues State of Origin player.
And Amber Hall plays on as the Dragons find touch, so they need the stars that they've got left out there to find more points.
Maybe even the others, they just dig deep and do it for the stars that they've lost.
Mahalia Murphy capable of the spectacular, and number 17 back in rugby league. Savalu for Armasili now. There's the Studden. Elsie Albert's back out there. Georgia Page with another hit up. Albert uses the decoy for Studden to go to Bremner.
She's not limping, but she didn't have the ferocity in a step that she had prior to hurting herself there, Sammy.
Here goes Elsie. Albert got rid of one. Lauren Brown fighting out of the weight division on that occasion. Got dealt with.
Ferocious run. Oh, not a good play the ball.
Off the boot from Fasavalu Farmasili, but a little hand in there as well. The knock-on spotted.
That's a shame because it was a great run from Elsie Albert, but she just ruined it with a play the ball. Look at that. Just fends off Lauren Brown, then she gets up to play the ball and just plays it way too hard.
Too keen for the quick play the ball. I get it, but oh no.
Handover with the error coming on the last. Hit the boot and then hit the hand on the way back out. So a ninth error, nearly up to double figures in that category for the Dragons. It's going to make it tough when you have those kind of numbers.
And they needed to get that kick off there to get the repeat set.
Late handoff there from Marto, and Brigginshaw made it look all right. Lenadusi trying to run right over the top of Tale Holmes, who dragged her down. Quick play the ball from Lenadusi. Aiken back on the angle goes Robinson again.
She's got some pace.
She does. She's been impressive again this afternoon, Robinson.
McGregor. Brigginshaw. Real width to this attack. Brigginshaw with the one hand flick out the back. And Meg Ward, safety first at the end of it all. Now McGregor on kicking duty. In between fullback and winger, bouncing ball, and Bremner had to get airborne to prevent the oncoming traffic. Chapman corralled by the marker. Great work by Elliston.
Dragons under a bit of pressure here. They can smell blood, the Broncos. Good defence. Trying to box the Dragons down this end of the field. Surges goes down, not with an injury, hopefully.
She's staying down, though. Looked like the ankle may have been tweaked there.
Incredible. Dragons just keep dropping like flies with injuries.
Albert. They need a Steph Hancock special here with the boot. She produced a 50-metre torpedo spiral last week. They could use one here.
That was incredible.
They go to Studden instead.
Oh,
she's
that's
caught
dangerous.
low. That's a penalty.
Oh, that's shocking.
Spotted by the referee. So the Broncos are just claiming victims all over the place.
Maddie Studden, as we saw last week, hurt her ankle. She's managed to take the field again, but this will not help the situation.
It's Brigginshaw. What upset you about the way Brigginshaw went in on Studden there, Braith?
Well, you just can't attack the legs of the player at all. It's just dangerous. You're vulnerable as a half, and you've got to be more careful there. Very exposed.
And Brigginshaw knows that. She's a master of the game. She's a bit disappointed in herself the way she went in there. So just trying to walk it off. We saw this happening last week.
Again, similar.
The way they're going, they might not be able to field 13 at the end of this game.
I'm worried about New South Wales State Origin. Will they be able to field 13?
Huge concern for the Origin side.
Already lost Apps. Already lost Isabel Kelly, and Surgis limping towards the sideline. But may just stay out there and fight through the pain barrier. They need her attacking talents.
We need her off the back of Hancock and Elsie Albert. That's what we need. We need to go forward, and then we need these stars like Surgis, maybe a little cheeky Maddie. I know it's hard as we see them both hobbling around. Big ask, but that's what we need.
It'd be a huge victory if they could somehow score a try here, bring themselves back into the game, considering the amount of injuries they've had to class players. We're showing quite a bit of character here, the Dragons, to even stay in the contest.
So Brigginshaw put on report for that late contact there. Does she miss a week potentially? And only a week?
Possibly a week, yes, Speedy. She could be under a bit of pressure or trouble there.
I'm not sure it matters, really. If the Broncos win here.
Textbook tackle there from Brigginshaw. Stopped Mahalia Murphy. Going to be some headlines out of this game, you'd imagine. The way the Dragons have been falling and some of the techniques of the Broncos. Albert keeps it alive. There's players over. And Tale Holmes didn't release. Took them on herself and may have bombed a try. Could have been back to 12-8, 12-10 potentially there. Still plenty of time. Now they go right, and it's still on for Jamie Chapman to score her first try in NRLW. This is bordering on one of the great comebacks you've ever seen. On one leg, wounded, the Dragons are back in the contest.
Confirm no grounding, please.
Maybe not.
We're questioning. What are we questioning there?
I think we're just questioning the put down here, but it's Davis again. It was a beautiful pass, and we see here Chapman. She dives into the corner, and oh my God, does she drop it, or does she? Does the ball leave the fingers? Oh, I'm not sure.
I'm going to say no, Braith. I'm going to say no, because this would be an awesome comeback for the Dragons. No space, no space.
A smaller ball might have been handy there, Tasha.
Ah, Speedy, you and your smaller ball.
I think she just had the dive. There's no one in front of her.
Fingers still on.
Then the release.
Saw some space. I saw about a centimetre there. Right at the end, you'll see just the ball separate from the finger.
Jamie Frezard loses possession of the ball over the line. We have a decision.
It's a no try for Chapo.
Jamie Frezard's upset. She's been pinned with it. She plays in the opposition team, of course. It's Jamie Chapman who has wasted her chance at a first NRLW try. The 18-year-old will learn from that.
She will. And it's heartbreaking, really. Davis comes up with a beautiful pass. She came up with the pass for Surgis to get them back into the fight, and then all she had to do was get this ball down. Just had to dive.
Such a great run of Elsie Albert to set that up.
It's been spoken about in the last couple of weeks. Should there be a different size ball for NRLW, and then you'd see more exciting put downs and what have you. It's something the game may look at in the off-season. Who knows?
Chapo could have put that down. Had nothing to do with the size of the ball. She should have just dived and put that down.
Should have scored with a beach ball in the hand, really. Sorry.
They might be able to go right side again here. Hancock. Amazing turn of events, considering the players they've lost so far, the Dragons, to still be in there with a chance to take it right down to the wire next weekend to see who makes the grand final. Still plenty of work to do. They trail by 8. Elsie Albert's lost the boot. Where'd it go?
Good read there in defence.
Remner picked off by Frassard. Quick play the ball for Murphy. Mahalia Murphy dragged down. Now they've got a big line set to the right-hand side. Crossfield kick looms for Studden. Drops it in behind the line, and Upton read it superbly.
Great read from Upton. I think Studden had to go high there. Kicked it straight into the fullback's hands.
Crossfield high?
Yes.
I had him lined out there. I thought that's the way they were going to go.
Studden thought she might sell them with the eyes, but Upton was there ready and waiting for the kick in behind. Millie Boyle returns. Handy weapon to bring on now, and here's a bonus for Brisbane. As the pressure on the back of the net, the old crusher manoeuvre from Shaylee Bent is penalised.
Yeah, this hurts even more so now because they've had a couple of opportunities to score tries and haven't capitalised, and now all of a sudden Brisbane in good field position, which they haven't had for the majority of this half, and it's on report.
Yeah, Shaylee Bent on report for the crusher tackle. 18th player for the Blues Origin team last year. Now right in contention for a spot in that 17, particularly with Kezzy Apps seemingly ruled out. Bent a likely replacement for her club teammate.
And that's an unfortunate tackle she just made because she's been working exceptionally hard this game.
So Gould back out there after recovering from her knock in the first half. Although she may not have recovered, judging by this. Hasn't this game taken its toll?
What do you say? What do you say, Braith? What do you say to your players now while we're waiting on this? Your Dragons.
For the Dragons, well, I mean, they just got to keep fighting, try and force an error now on the next set of 6 and really be committed. They've got their inspirational representative players on the sideline, so you want to try and do it for them. You know, it's been a tough afternoon, but you're well and truly in the match. Only 8 points behind with 12 minutes to go.
And a 4-pointer just went begging.
It's you just got to try and keep positive, really. The mindset's got to be positive because there'd be a lot of negativity creeping into the minds after missing the last few opportunities, especially the one to Chapman.
There's another replay showing the tweak of the foot and ankle area with an opponent falling on the leg out the back. And we've seen it 5 or 6 times in the opening couple of weeks, how easily an injury can occur with that body weight crushing the lower leg.
It has. That's like the 3rd or 4th time we've seen that happen. Just got a text from Joey Barrett. She's not happy with the smaller ball either. Speedy.
Yeah, right, okay.
So there's 2 of us up against you. 2 of the old girls.
Amber Hall, quiet so far today, but there's a run with plenty of intent. Lenadusi moves it on to Boyle. Those front rowers combining again. And a try here would make it really tough on the Dragons. Lenadusi has to go left. Takes them all on, and maybe a try goes begging there. Eventually nearly fell over the line. Lavinia Gould has a go, and great starting position. Keely Davis saw what was coming, got down low and prevented it.
Well, they had a 3-man overlap there. The Broncos to the left if they just found a pass, and Gould, well, you could see she had her eyes on that try line. She was always running, and the Dragons could see it coming also. Well defended and still in the game.
Studden, now she's picked up a little poke in the eye, perhaps.
Carnage this afternoon.
Such courage to still be in the contest, the Dragons. Penatani comes looking for work, and not the first time that she's been upended like that and backslammed.
Who am I taking?
Good run by the debutant,
Now,
Georgia Page.
Elsie Albert onto this one, or Steph Hancock. Or not.
Davis instead, shifting it to Surgis. Chapman back inboard to Surgis. One more pass and things might open up, but Lauren Brown saw off that threat.
Oh, she's walked off the mark there.
Take it back.
Oh, lucky.
Last tackle. Go, last.
Keely Davis calling the play. Where's my kicker? Finds Studden from a standing start. Not the end of the set they wanted.
As we said before, your set of 6 is only as good as the final kick. It's where you leave the opposition starting to restart their set.
You also need an attacking kick in this situation as well. The pass back to Studden was a 20-metre pass, and the chasers were all offside. Going to play on the front foot.
Brigginshaw with the go forward after they went backwards on the previous play. Brigginshaw trying to milk one out of Fasavalu Parmasili. And now Boyle gets the fend going, has the arm free. And Jess Surgis stepped in at the right time to prevent any offload. Upton got there late, and Hancock creates the error and tries to inspire her team against her former mob.
And look at Hancock. She's wrapped in that move, and that's it. She's leading by example. She's saying, we're not done yet. Look what I can do.
There's been plenty of fight in this Dragon side. Plenty of fight. Now they just need some finesse. Try and come up, create points. And then try in the next few minutes. Plenty of time.
Great awareness out of marker. That was her only objective there, was to slap the arm of Upton and create the knock-on. Completion rate below 60 for both teams. That's something to work on for the last 1 or 2 weeks of the competition.
I'm all for the Dragons throwing it around now, though.
Bremner straight off the scrum, opens it up for Penatani on the outside. What an ankle tap. A try saver from Meg Ward.
Oh, big play from Meg Ward. Penatani was off and away.
How exciting is this game?
Here we go.
It's an amazing performance from St George Illawarra. They trail by 8, but they have every right to have been blown out in this contest, but they're still in it. And they go left again. Bremner back to Penatani. Can she step around Ward this time? Not so. Strong defence over the top.
Sammy Bremner's called for it. I think she's going to go high up in the air. No.
Only midway through the count here, so Studden says to Albert, straighten us up a little. Bremner still loitering on that left-hand side. Fasavalu for Armasili over the top of them. Upton comes up with another try saver.
That's 3 for Upton. That's 3 try savers on Fasavalu Farmasili in the one match.
3 try savers this week, 3 tries last week for Upton. Tell you what, you've got to love the heart of the Dragons. Never say never.
Well, they've kept fighting. Brisbane keep fighting as well in defence.
Okay, last tackle, Alia. No. Out 10.
So she'll play at 10 out here after being held up in goal.
10, Alia.
And they've had plenty of time to draw up the final play this time.
Wait.
So what will the Dragons come up with?
Are we okay?
We're on the last.
Big line set to the right-hand side. It's flat on the left.
Push up, Talisha.
Got to play it on that 10-metre line, and eventually we're away. Studden shifts it. Davis helps it on. And Tale Holmes runs away from the support on the outside and caught with it on the last. You just wonder how much leadership there was setting up that final play.
I'm not sure what Talia was thinking then.
Yeah, they've had a lot of fight. There's no doubt about that, the Dragons, and they've just competed for everything. But like I said earlier, it's just been their finesse, and they've lacked a little bit of class. I know they've got some of their big guns off the field, but from the get-go, their creativity and fifth tackle options have really let themselves down. Their execution has let themselves down this afternoon. Plenty of time still, but they've had so many opportunities.
Very late offload from Millie Boyle.
And Talia was in with 4 tackles in a row to make up for that inside run, so...
Look at that. 1 try after being tackled in the opposition 29 times. And now an injury for Jamie Frassard who's battled injury to finally make her NRL debut last week. And this is such heartbreak here again, it seems. Real distress for the centre.
I don't think I've seen so many injuries in one game.
It's that, again, the fall of the body weight on the ankle twisting.
We've seen, what, three of those this afternoon?
And another
Possibly
3 or 4 last week. Jess Surgis fell victim to it last week. Looked like that back foot was almost locked between the legs of Georgia Page in the tackle, and inevitably that leads to a twist of the leg.
I'm just thinking, is that the one that she's just come back from?
She had a long time out of the game. Didn't see Jamie Frassard with an ACL injury. Missed a lot of footy. Here's a look at the live ladder. So we have one more round in the round robin to come, but we may know our grand finalists confirmed in 7.5 minutes time, as Kezi Apps has the knee brace applied to that medial problem sustained in the first half. Parramatta boys are in the house watching the final minutes here before their warm-up commences, and the NRL action continues tonight. Moses and Gutherson in a playful mood. How will Parramatta fare under strength against the Rabbitohs tonight in the knockout final? Don't have to change your channel tonight. We've got finals footy with Matty Johns coming up right after this, leading into this contest between Parramatta and the Bunnies. Jamie Frassard will make way, and looks a little more encouraging the way she went off under her own steam. But there's a limp there, and the casualty ward is full after this contest. Amber Hall runs into Ellie Johnston, back out there. Chase is good. Riggenshaw leads it. Penatani hemmed into a corner.
Just noticed there was 5 on the bench there for the Broncos, which means they've probably used all their interchange, and they're probably going to play the last 7 minutes with only 12 players on the field. So a great opportunity for the Dragons.
And we've got speedsters like Chapman and Surgis out there, and Penatani. Can they get them on the outside here?
Sydney Bremen is there. She's sniffing around.
Johnston trying to run right over the top of Lauren Brown. How's the play on the last this time? Studden drops it into the corner. Upton set up nicely for the fullback.
They need a mistake here now from the Broncos. Oh, don't tell me, Upton.
Another lower leg injury, it appears, for Tamika Upton. Oh, and now Studden's limping away off. What is going on at Bankwest this afternoon? A war of attrition. Stretching out the cramp, hopefully. Only that for Studden. Upton looks in a bit more bother behind her. Amber Hall gets the arms free. Another offload from the Broncos. Good contact there from Fasavalu for Armasili. And then Riggenshaw came back in, slapped her in the face and said, sorry, I didn't mean it.
Yeah, you're up, go.
Take that with you.
Aiken. A rare kick into no man's land. The chase is on. And had to play at it because it would have been a ball back to the Broncos, and maybe Chapman adjusted a little late to that. Gives up the ball to the Broncos anyway. What a fabulous kick. Would have been a 40-30.
Now, Chapo can't hang her head here. She's only 18 years of age on the big stage. There's not much else she could have done.
No, she got a bad bounce there, Chapman, too. But this is where you learn. I mean, this is what it's all about. She's, as you said, she's only 18 years of age, so she's got it all ahead of her. And it's been a bit of a tough afternoon and a tough second half, but she's a great player and she'll bounce back. Limited opportunities now, and a try here gets game over, obviously, but let's see how the Dragons aim up in defence.
Aiken pulled the right rein again. What a fabulous kick. Would have been a 40-30 if Chapman hadn't dealt with it or tried to deal with it. Here's McGregor, Riggenshaw. Broncos looking to cap off this victory. Brown, who's been the acting dummy half. Now Aiken tries to lay one on for Elliston. Again, they left a few teammates over on that left-hand side. Boyle from a standing start. Millie Boyle shapes for an offload, keeps on going, Millie Boyle, and Albert may have prevented a try there by getting down low as Boyle tried to spin her way through traffic. Now the dummy is thrown, and slamming it down is Lauren Brown. Hasn't she made a great fist at that new roll? And the Broncos are into another grand final in 2020.
Millie Boyle came back onto the field, obviously nice and fresh. She lays the platform for this one. Her fight in the lead up to that then allows for the dummy half to dive over for those 4 points.
Yeah, Boyle is the enforcer, and she's had another great afternoon here for the Broncos. She's had a couple of really big seasons, and Lauren Brown's been impressive on the wing. She comes in and she gets her opportunity, but she's had some really high-quality runs on the edges, and she gets her first try of the afternoon. And they haven't had many opportunities in this second half, but when they have capitalised, and just the class of the Broncos has really got them home this afternoon.
That's her first try in NRLW and has shown great versatility. She played in the halves for the Burleigh Bears and was player of the grand final. And now she's played as the number 9, if you like, even though the number 2 has been on her back ever since Lavinia Gould got in the wars in this game. So she can play anywhere.
It just shows the depth of the Broncos. Meg Ward been pretty good on the boot. Should take this out to a lead of 14 points, which is pretty hard to get back in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, right now it's 2 converted tries, so optimistic Dragons fans are thinking maybe if she misses, we can do something, but she does not. And Brisbane, who have been the champions in 2018 and 2019, will defend their title again against the Roosters in the grand final in a fortnight's time.
Yep, Lauren Brown very happy with that try. And big hug from Millie Boyle, who really laid the platform for that try to be available for that scoop from dummy half.
Tough year for the club in the NRL, but in NRLW they are all conquering the Broncos.
Wait for the time.
Exactly right.
And they go ahead in for and against as well. Take over top spot from the Roosters with that converted try. So short kick-off time, and Meg Ward negates that one too. What about her ankle tap at a key time of Penatani? If Penatani gets through there, it's game on.
There's been a couple of what-ifs. Those sliding door moments that we spoke about last game.
Amber Hall eventually able to play it. Enjoyed the little duel there with Shaylee Banks.
Ellie Johnson still putting it all in.
Brigginshaw, what a run. Out of dummy half, little bobble there. Got it back under her control before the knock-on. Finishing strongly the Broncos after absorbing all of that pressure throughout the second half. Here goes Aiken again. They shift it left this time. There's another try on. Robinson held up just short.
Chapo.
Great scramble from St George Illawarra.
And the captain there in Sammy Bremner congratulating her young 18-year-old Chapo for great work there.
Yeah, great tackle from Chapman. Looked like it was going to be a certain try to Julia Robinson, who has played well again this afternoon.
Little knock-on spotted there by the referee. As Robinson went to ground. So the Dragons have one last chance for a consolation try.
A 14-point try.
You can get an 8-point try. I'm not sure you can get 14.
Raised way early.
Bremner.
She's interfered.
Goes to Murphy. Penatani pass behind her. And that'll do it. Although the penalty has been found, has it?
Yeah, penalty for offside at the scrum. We hear the touch judge. And they played advantage, which was the right call. Mistake for Penatari there means it'll be a penalty.
In the earlier game, we made mention of how the draw should have had a bit more thought going into it. Tasha Gale should have had the 2 losers from week 1 and the 2 winners from week 1 head-to-head today. Instead, they went another way, so we know who the grand finalists are before next week.
That's right, Speedy.
When we get a grand final preview now. as the Broncos take on the Roosters. But the 2020 NRLW Grand Final will feature the Broncos against the Roosters. And Ali Brigginshaw instrumental again today for the Broncos. And didn't the Dragons show so much fight today, though?
So much fight. The Dragons love the fact they never gave up, and there was a few what-if moments there. There were a few tries that the grounding of the ball or Penatani not ankle tapped, you know, it was still right up there, and that's full credit to the Dragons.
So we know the grand finalists, and on the evidence today, Braith and Astor, who have you got as favourites between the Roosters and the Broncos?
Geez, that's a tough one, Speedy. This is a great pass here from Lenarduzzi. Broncos have been great, but the Roosters' form has carried through with their 2 victories as well. But you can see here, this is where it all started. The Broncos, Upton, beautiful pass, and they got on the front foot really early and put pressure on the Dragons, who just couldn't create today. They just couldn't come up with creative options or enough creative options. And there, Brigginshaw, the captain, the maestro, come up with a big play there from Boyle. The front rower supporting up the middle of the ruck, and got off to a really convincing lead here, the Broncos. And again, the defence there just sliding off. Brigginshaw threw a lot of passes before this, and then on this occasion decided to throw the dummy.
Dragons got back into it, though. Jess Surgis, they needed to find a try from her, and they did.
They did, and there it is there, just going over the line. Gave the Dragons a bit of hope there, and they all sort of lifted their heads. Remember, they've got a lot of players off on the sideline watching on. And there's the exclamation mark there.
Late sealer from Lauren Brown, her first try in NRLW. So here's what we're looking at next week in the NRLW. The Dragons take on the Warriors in the same early slot next week, 12:30 p.m. And then the Roosters against the Broncos in what will be a grand final preview from 4 p.m. And don't forget, tonight, coming up after finals footy with Matty Johns, it's the Eels against the Rabbitohs, all coming your way on Fox League. And the understrength Parramatta side put up a fight against the Bunnings, who are full of points. It's all coming your way from Bankwest Stadium throughout the evening. Hope you've enjoyed the NRLW coverage today. We know our 2020 grand finalists, the Roosters and the Broncos, big winners today, and they'll square off on the final day in a fortnight's time. For now, it's goodbye from Bankwest.
This has been a Fox Sports production.